Welcome to the OhSoSpurs podcast. If you're tuning in for the ultimate Bilbao preview, you found the right place. Well done. But you're not going to find a bunch of shouty old men today. You're just going to find a bunch of old men trying to provide an analytical and tactical digestion of what happened at Villa Park, but more looking at the side of what does that mean for Wednesday? Because, guys, it looked like there was some experimenting going on in the game, and we didn't want to dissect the performance too intensely right now because once Romero and Van der Ven and Vicario were left at home, I think it was clear what the focus was going to be on. But talking about focus, it felt like there was focus in that game, kind of echoing on to Wednesday, right, guys? You made some observations about some tactical things Ange was trying.
Yeah. I think we looking at it yesterday. I think again we can look at the stats and we'll go through some of the stats, and they were a little bit shocking last night. But I think what he was testing last night was how do we play without an out 10. So he had Odegaard there in the middle of the three behind the centre forward like Tell. I thought Tell had quite a good game actually at moments when he got the ball, and he was energetic, he was lively, he looked like he wanted it. But there was clearly a plan to see how we get the ball wide, fast and into the channels. And I think that plays to how he thinks we're going to beat United, which is getting behind their wing backs and try and push their wing backs back, because they're going to be quite narrow in the middle of their defence with three at the back. And I think the game's going to be won if we can get in and behind their wing backs and get crosses into the box. Maybe not big high crosses, because you're going to have potentially Maguire in the middle there. But some of the stuff that we were trying to do, get round the back, cutting it back, playing it low across the goal. I think Onana's suspect on plays like that. So I think that's what he was testing last night. I think the first 15 minutes, actually, there was some good stuff there, and was it Odegaard with the little back heel flick that almost came off? That would have been lovely. I guess my concern last night is we didn't test the right side enough to see how we could play down there, and Mikey Moore was really used almost as I don't know what position it would be, but almost a right back plus. He wasn't really getting forward, but he looked like a 17-year-old in a man's game last night. I think he struggled a little bit, but we were obviously targeting Matty Cash and getting Son in against Cash, and I think he got some change out of it as well. So I think that's what we were testing last night. I don't know. So I think he's going to go with a midfield on Wednesday. I guess it's going to be Sarr, Bentancur and Bissouma, with Bentancur and Bissouma sitting deep and Sarr running on to get into the box late for some of those cutbacks. And I think that's what he was looking at last night, because I don't think we obviously don't have an out 10, and I think that's the route he's going down.
I think
and you go on, Stu.
I think the only issue will be Sarr's injury, because obviously Ange's history for saying he's got a knock doesn't bode well.
He's out for 18 months.
So that, I think, obviously is going to make it. Yeah, exactly. He's out for the summer. Which would, sum up our season as well if he was.
Wouldn't it just?
Sonny, though, Stu, looked like he benefited from a little break in the physio room, right?
I thought Sonny looked really, really sharp. He looked happy for the first time, I think, in months as well. A couple of times when he was just galloping down the left, it reminded me of the old Sonny, which, again, isn't that much of a surprise if he's been carrying this foot thing for quite a few months, which is what Ange alluded to. And I think that gives me more hope, because initially I was thinking, is it going to be like another Kane story where we bring in our star forward who's a little bit off the boil, but he looks sharp. So that gives me a lot more confidence going into Wednesday. And I think, Odegaard's got some flash. I thought Tell is beginning to show signs of why we went for him in January. I think, you can see that they're getting used to playing together, and Odegaard and Tell have played together quite a lot for the French under-21 side. So I think we'll benefit from that as well. So, I think there are some kind of shoots of hope for us to cling to coming into Wednesday. And I would just say, looking at United, they've been playing their full strength side in the league and losing. So what's that going to do to their morale when our boys kind of can explain away that we're losing because we're not playing our full strength side, and when we do play the full strength side, we're getting through? So I'm also wondering if, from a morale within the camp perspective, we're also going to be going in there with a lot more optimism, apart from the fact we haven't lost to them for, 3 years.
I've got a plot twist for you guys. What if that was our strongest 11? Romero, Vicario and Van der Ven all got injured in training.
Then we're...
Yeah. Yeah, cheers, Jim.
That would be.
I thought this was going to be a positive look forward to the final. We're going to have a great time. And right, okay, yeah. I'll see you then.
plot. Yeah, just saying that would be the most Tottenham thing. But the other
Vic
thing
was on the bench last night. I think Vic travelled with the team last
Vic
night.
was on
didn't
the
he?
bench.
I'm
Vic
only
was on the bench
joking.
last night.
I'm not insinuating anyway they're
Yeah, I
actually
know,
injured.
but you still put. I was just going to check the phone to see if there was any news
But
this
no
morning.
training for
That's how
fixtures.
paranoid we're getting, though.
Did you hear
That's how
Ange's
paranoid
comment
we're
when he was
getting.
questioned about it after the game? He was not happy.
No.
Because they were
What
kept
did he
asking,
say?
are they all right? You know, like, yeah, I just didn't bring them because if they'd have come on and got injured, it would have been a stupid thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Ange cleared that one up. But if Sarr's knock is, let's just say, a broken spine, because going by the Archie Gray, is he the player we would slot in there? Where do we go if we're in that situation?
First, before I think we kind of criticize Gray, I thought he looked more at home than he has in the previous games in midfield. I think as with Bergwall, who took quite a few games to get used to playing there, I think we have to show the same tolerance and patience for Gray to get used to playing in midfield. And I think he will only get better with time. So I just wanted to say that, but I don't think he's anywhere near ready to take on United's midfield in a Europa League final.
Well, I don't think it's about this. Like, he wouldn't be the first or second or third choice probably in that midfield. But when you're down to your third choice, is he the third choice?
I think you play Biss, Bentancur, and Odegaard.
Okay. Do you agree, Si?
Well, if Sarr's out, I think I might start Sarr in the middle there, just because those three are more used to playing together in the midfield three than with Odegaard at the top there. And maybe Odegaard's a solution for 60 minutes or whatever. But I think we're going to have to find a way to keep it tight with Garnacho and Fernandes. If both of those turn up, then we've got a game on our hands. But they are very hit and miss. But they turn up for one-off games. So I think we've got an excellent chance against this lot, especially with our first choice back five in place. I think with our first choice back five, we don't concede those 2 goals last night. They were sloppy goals to concede, and I don't think we do. And if you look at the stats, we've gone over the stats for when we've got that back five in place, right? We are a very, very different team when we got our first choice back five in. Was it 15 wins out of 20?
Yep.
And only two defeats or 3 defeats, I think.
Yeah, 3 defeats, 2
3
draws,
defeats
15
out
wins,
of 20
yeah.
when they're playing. And that makes a massive difference to the confidence in front as well. So I think we're going to have to go quite tight. I think we'll sit pretty deep. We'll do that sort of mid-press like we tried to do yesterday. And we'll go down the channels as much as we can. I think you'll see a lot more long balls.
The only thing I was thinking was, from reports I've been reading, that United are weak with a high press on their back line. So that's why I would go with people who are able to run and chase them down.
Yeah. That was the next question, actually. That's the topic been reading. It will be tempting to stick with the formula that's worked for us in Europe, which is lower possession, counter, but the way to get at United apparently is the really intense press. On the flip side, you could see a world in which United are putting all their preparation into us trying to swarm them and purely playing on the counter, and they've got pretty quick placey players that they can pull that off. So you may be trying to exploit their weaknesses, but you're also giving the opportunity to play to their strengths.
That is their strength. That's where their wing backs come into play.
Yeah.
They have pace. Garnacho's fast. The fella up front's pretty nippy as well. This is why we sit on a podcast and we don't get paid the money to coach a Premier League football side.
One day. It's coming.
Nearly there.
Nearly there. Sorry for that background there. So, in terms of other players, quickly just to cross off the Villa game, just want to quickly highlight Kinski. I think we saw some great examples of distribution in that game, guys, that we might be seeing. He's not the player now to challenge Vicario for a spot, but it's great to see that we might have a goalkeeper that in, let's just say, 5 years' time, we're not in that Lloris situation of, oops, keeper's gone and we don't really know who's coming in. It might be that in 2 or 3 years' time, we're going, we can reliably bring him into important matches as another option.
I think his gravitas will grow with age, right? So we were talking a little bit earlier about, where is he a bit suspect at the moment? On some difficult crosses, he can be a bit suspect. He's got good hands when, he should be taking them. He takes them quite well. And I guess so crosses and marshalling that back line. I think Vicario does that extremely well. And we shouldn't underestimate the impact that Vicario has on the organisation of that defence. So a fundamental part of that back five is Vic. So the age, what's the age gap between? What's Vic now? 7? 27, 28. So another
5
three
years.
or four, another three or 4 years.
28.
And Kinski comes through, but his distribution's fantastic. Stu was mentioning about the throw that Odebear messed up, but also his long distribution with his right and his left. He was hitting the channels really, really nicely, and I think that is something that we sort of miss a little bit with Vic.
Yeah, 100%.
And it keeps, you get the rest of the team firing. It keeps the opposition on their toes because are they going to press? Are they going to sit deep? Are they going to go short? Are they going to go long? Adds a little bit of doubt, doesn't it?
I think his distribution is amazing, and that's why I'm really confident in a couple of years' time once he's got used to the English game. So I was saying it before with the crosses. It's not a slight on him, but any keeper that comes to the UK takes at least a year to get used to the way crosses are dealt with in English football because they're not given the same protection that they are, on the continent. But the way he plays with his feet is head and shoulders above what Vic is able to do. And that throw to Odebear, it reminded me, I don't know if, Jim's too young, but I don't know if you remember, in the 80s, 90s, there was a Dutch goalkeeper called Hansel Breukelen who played for Forest and then PSV. And he used to do the same thing. He used to be able to throw to the halfway line and set up so many attacks.
Yeah.
And it was really just a flashback to that. And I thought if he can do that on a regular basis, it is amazing. Great tool.
Schmeichel was known for that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Schmeichel was one of the best at that.
I wanted to talk about another player who did feature against Villa that is going to be crucial to the final. And he's a player that has scored 16 goals and contributed to 20 in total. We all know who he is. But yet, there will always be a debate raging over whether he's any good, which just seems like. And look, we've been down that rabbit. You can understand why the eye test gives people frustrations with the guy, but his output is unarguable. It's obviously Brennan Johnson. Looked like he was being preserved. Assume he's going to be thrown straight back into that starting 11 with Richie on the left, do you reckon?
I think who else are you going to play on the right? If we're talking about Odebear in the middle, I mean, there's no one else who's going to play on the right. He does have the knack of being in the right place at the right time. And, I would love nothing more than for him to prove his doubters wrong.
Yeah. I think the challenge with Johnson, and I think, you can't knock his goal involvement. Absolutely you can't. And he's sort of like he scores those quintessential Ange ball goals, doesn't he? Either coming in late on the penalty spot or at the back stick. I just wonder what he gives you in terms of suppressing their wing back. Because Porro is going to need some cover. And, with Romero there, having Porro on a bit of a string and shouting at him in Spanish the whole game, hopefully that will do something. But I think he's going to need some air cover down that right-hand side. And that's something that Johnson doesn't do naturally. Can he do it? Well, we'll see, I guess. But again, to Stu's point, who else are you playing there? If you stick Odebear out there and start Sarr in the middle, then what's your option at 60, 70 minutes when you need to freshen up that midfield?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit underappreciated that the injury list doesn't feel huge because of what happened mid-season, but there is still quite a lot of options we're missing that would be really valuable to have in this game. I still think we've got enough, and it's not an excuse. I wouldn't come out of the game if we lost and say it's because of the injuries. I don't think that's fair.
Well, they're going to be talking about their back line, aren't they? I mean, they've got significant injuries in their back line. Whether any of them make it back for Wednesday or not, and whether they're keeping them back, that's fine. But we know that, going straight back into your first game in a big final or a big semi-final, big final, you don't just slot in, do you?
No.
I mean, some players do, but they're the exceptional ones. But most players take a few games to get back up to speed. So whatever back line they've got, I think we've got to get at them. Yeah. That's the point. We can't just sit back and not, whether it's hitting them on the break, hitting them long, and we've got to get around that keeper. We've got to be testing Onana early doors.
100%.
Yeah, he's their weak link. Go on, sorry, Stu.
I just think, they're a side that can be got at. And I think,
for sure,
Johnson, Solanke, Son, they can chase them, they can hurry them. And I think they've played enough games together this season to show that they have that understanding. So it gives me a lot of belief.
And then if you can pop Richie and Tell on from the bench, another two high energy, Richie, not just a nuisance, but causes players issues. Tell running at them. And I thought yesterday, some of the runs he made, and so he's a good crosser of the ball as well. So I think Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not doom and gloom for Wednesday. There's lots and lots of reasons why we stand a fantastic chance, and not more that I think that Ange will get them to a point where they will understand the significance. If you're in this team and you win, it's not just about winning the cup.
Yeah.
It's not just about Champions League. It's about your pictures going up in the hallways as heroes of this club. You'll be forever immortalised in the halls at Tottenham, and that's not such the case that Man United.
No, I think that the one unfortunate thing is that, as you said, Jim, we don't have the amount of injuries we had previously in the season, but the fact they're all in midfield is such a shame. Because
it's like when the back line was done early on in the season, right? Again, there were times when you looked at the injury roster where it was like 5 or 6, and you're thinking, yeah, a lot of teams carry 5 or 6 injuries, but not when those 5 or 6 are your starting back 5.
Yeah,
that's the frustrating thing.
Or
That's the
3 out of 4
unfortunate thing we've
centre-backs.
had.
Exactly.
Why do they keep compounding in the same positions? I have a theory that maybe because when you lose one player in a starting position, your starter, another player's thrown into a very intense way of playing football who body's not used to it because they don't really have time to kind of ramp up mid-season, and then they get injured. But then these injuries have been impacts.
But that's
and
going to say,
ones as well.
I would say that recently the injuries have got nothing to do with the style of play. They're just unfortunate knocks that 9 out of 10 times you run off. It's just now it's every little knock is an operation.
Well, Ange was saying about Decky's injury, it's just like a freak. I mean, you go into those tackles every week. You bang your knee against people every week, and just so happens a week before the final, did he break his patella? Is that what happened? I don't know what's happened, but he's done something to his kneecap. And it's like, that just doesn't happen normally. Just doesn't happen. Vic coming out and playing with a bloody broken ankle. That doesn't happen normally.
Or even Bergvall turned by himself on the training pitch. And, it's like,
that's not overtraining. That's just shit luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Alas, like you said, Man United have got their issues as well. It's not normal to have a squad that's all in great shape and everyone's flying.
End of the season, everyone's going to have issues, mate.
Everyone's going to have issues, and I think we've got enough in that game to feel like we should be going in feeling like, we should be going with the confidence, and it feels uncomfortable because we're Spurs. We should be going with the confidence that we are slight favourites for that final. We are. And it feels awkward saying it out loud, but I genuinely believe we are favourites. Does that mean we're going to stroll it and smash them 4-5-0? No, absolutely not. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard game. Casemiro's won, I think he's played 20 finals and won 18. This guy knows how to win games.
He certainly does.
And similar with even Maguire, he's won trophies with Man United. They've got loads of examples of players they've been able to buy in who are superstar big names who know how to win these games, and they will switch it on that day and they will be good. We are going to have to score 2 or 3 goals minimum. It's going to be one of those.
Do you think we need to do it in 90?
Well, our midfield's going to be rinsed in extra time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think,
we need to do it in 90. And if it goes to pens, my heart won't be able to take it because I've too much heartbreak in penalties, whether it's national teams or club teams.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to play. The whole game plan has to be around winning in 90 minutes.
I think so.
Which is why I think he'll actually start Richarlison,
Do you think he will? Where's he going to start him now? On the left?
Left.
Yeah.
And then Sonny comes on from the
Sonny
bench.
on the bench?
Of course.
Oh,
I'm being an idiot. What about Sonny in the 10 role?
He would have done that last night if he was thinking of that.
Yeah, true.
I don't think he's got the ball control to play in the middle of the park either, Sonny. His ball control, considering the level of player he is pretty poor.
And the way that he was bombing on yesterday was clearly a tactic from the off around, let's get him down that channel, let's test Cash. And I think that was with Wednesday in mind for sure. I'm surprised he stayed on as long as he did, actually. He took him off on 70, didn't he? I thought he was going to be bringing him off about 55, 60. But, he showed that the rest has done him some good for sure.
I just had a look at the odds. It looks like United are actually favourites.
That's odds, though, are based on how many people place bets on what team, though, right?
Yeah, of course. But how else are you going to...
Everyone's going to be betting on Man United Man United have so many more fans. But...
Yeah. Well, they're saying that Spurs are going to have more fans out there without tickets than Man United are.
That was based on the number of bookings coming from London versus Manchester, apparently.
Right, okay.
And they've got more fans in London than they do Manchester's.
There you go. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it sums it up today. I've had Newcastle fan and a Man United fan who live in the same village as me winding me up about the final. I'm like, at least I can actually go. At least I do go watch my team play. You guys could, but you always complain it's too far and expensive.
Get them to drop me a bell.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Good point, well made.
I can't get on the train for a couple of hours.
Yeah, they're the ones who are like, so your weekend's free. Yep. You got nothing going on. Yep. I know you earn a good salary, mate, as well. Yep.
Plenty of disposable.
I've got a mate who can get us tickets to, I don't know, I'm really, really busy. Yeah, but you're a super fan, right? You're a massive, massive fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some people just enjoy, the getting involved with the winding up.
And why
kind
not?
Of like fun. So I find it fair enough.
And why not?
Support your team how you like.
That's part of what it's all about, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Support your team how you like. I think they just know I'm so obsessive. I'm an easy target.
And they know that the buttons
fun game for them.
To press get bigger and bigger closer to Wednesday as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we finish off with some score predictions, shall we? Got to go all in now on the official score predictions. Tottenham Hotspur versus Bilbao.
All right, I'm going to go.
Go on.
Dodgy penalty, Bruno Fernandes. It's going to be flashbacks to the Champions League final. Then Johnson, back post tap in from a Son cross. 89th minute, Son, classic, comes in on his foot, curls it into the top corner, 2-1. And that's the image forever. Sonny's goal, winning it as he lifts up the trophy. 2-1.
That'd be wonderful. He almost had one of those yesterday, didn't he?
He did.
That cut inside top corner. I think, yeah. So you're going 2-1.
Sure.
Yeah. I can't see us not conceding, obviously, clearly. So I think I'm going to have to go 2-1 as well. I think it's just going to be really tight, nail biting, down to the knuckles. I'm watching it in a pub over here. There'll be loads of Mancs in there.
Yeah.
There's even a guy who's coming over for a meeting, and I think he's deliberately done it this week so he can come to the pub with me. And he's a Chelsea supporter, so I'm going to have all sorts knocking around me. If we can pull it off 2-1, I'll be over the moon. But I think, as we said, we've got to do that in 90 minutes. If it goes to 120 in penalties, I'm not going to be too confident.
We get 3-2 Spurs. I think United will get a couple. I think Fernandes will be massive for them, but I can see 3 goals from us. I can see the Brennan Johnson tap in. I can see a Richarlison just chaos, just bumbling around in the box and just kind of like hitting it in with his back or something like that. And of course, Sonny's got to cap off his Spurs career.
Surely.
With I'm not saying he'll have another year, but he's got to kind of have that highlight moment where he does that signature goal.
Yeah,
that we all know and love so much, and that would be an injury time and
last kick of the game.
End.
Yeah, last kick of the game.
That would be beautiful.
Please.
My mate Christian's going to be at the game, so I'm hoping he brings us some good luck.
Come on, Christian.
Come on, Christian. Right, guys, up the Spurs, roll on Bilbao.
Go on, you Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs.
You sick podcasts and football shows that are just a bunch of people spouting opinions with no substance. It's always toxic negativity. It's toxic positivity. There's no substance. You don't come out of it feeling like you've learned anything new. Well, that's why we created OhSoSpurs. It's the Thinking Fans podcast. I'm Jim, and I'm the host. But I am only a sum of many brilliant parts. We have A-licensed coaches like JJ to help us dissect how games changed and how coaches are adapting. We have people who work in finance to tell us how much can Spurs actually spend and why we don't leave it all down to opinions when we discuss these things. We always look for the facts. We go and search long and hard to find people who've actually worked at Spurs. We talk to ex-coaches from Tottenham. We talk to ex-coaches from players we've recently signed to get you a deeper level look into them than you're going to get on a typical show on the internet. But we depend on our members to get this kind of content. To raise the bar and provide you with higher quality content, we need to find a revenue stream that is sustainable for us. And that is where you come in as members. You are the lifeblood of our show. We all do this for free as members of the show, and we need the money to survive and keep it running. So if you would like to be a member, we will promise you back an extra 2 videos per week as a minimum, and first access to our daily videos that come out as well, alongside other things like access to our WhatsApp groups where you will find those 8 licensed coaches and those finance experts and the rest of the panel to have a chat to about Spurs. So welcome to the show, and I hope you get all you're looking for and you like to stick around. Up the Spurs.